Hello and welcome. I'm Raziel. Now, today's question, conversation, whatever, is should 40k get a reboot? Now, I know straight away people are going to go, no, it shouldn't be, and lots of reboots suck. Right, first things first, a lot of reboots are actually pretty good. They actually do surpass the original. And same with some remakes. They definitely surpass the original in many ways. Some of my favourite films and some of the best films of all time are, in fact, remakes or reboots. We got Die Hard, which is technically a sequel to Frank Sinatra's detective series. There's The Thing, which is not the new one, which is a prequel to the John Carpenter one. John Carpenter's The Thing is a remake of the 1950s Thing from outer space, which is also very good. Not as good as John Carpenter's, but bear in mind, but it is still really good. Scarface is a remake as well. As you can see, back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of remakes were done, and they were done well. And a lot of franchises were rebooted back then as well. And once again, completely surpassed the original. Things like the X-Men, Chris Claremont's X-Men run was a reboot. It started a new universe. And again, absolutely fantastic. Beats all the hell out of Stan Lee's and Jack Kirby's X-Men. Chris Claremont really brought a lot to this new X-Men universe. And then in the 2000s, you had the Ultimate Universe. Now, the Ultimate Universe was alright. Spider-Man was pretty good. X-Men was, well, it wasn't even a different X-Men, it was X-Men. But it added a sort of modern twist. It was meant to be more grounded in reality. And then you had Ultimatum, which is just terrible. But if you read that for Spider-Man, you're going to get a good book out of it because Spider-Man's story in it is absolutely phenomenal and is well worth reading just for the Spider-Man bit because it shows exactly who Spider-Man is and it's never shown. And of course, from that Ultimate Universe, we did in fact get Miles Morales. Well, originally he started off as a Spider-Man. You know, he was basically just Peter Parker in different. He just bought a Fortnite skin basically of Peter Parker, but he grew to be his own thing, and Miles Morales is now his absolute own thing, and he's a great character from it, and that's where it came from, the Ultimate Universe. And of course, lately we've got the new Ultimate Universe, and once again, Spider-Man's absolutely phenomenal in it. The Ultimate X-Men's also phenomenal, and they're both worth reading. But unfortunately, that is going to be a limited run, and the whole story is going to come to a close soon, which is a shame. But of course, you also had the Crisis on Infinite Earths for DC and Final Crisis, and the whole Crisis thing that DC did to reboot their universes. Again, afterwards it was really good. It was really fun. It added a lot more. It was a lot fresher, and people could get into Batman, Superman, etc., without having to worry about the decades of comics that came before it. See, that's the thing about a lot of franchises when they do run on. A lot of people do feel daunted by the books and decades of lore prior to what they are reading now. And a lot of people feel like you have to read all of it or you have to have a vast knowledge of all of it. I personally don't. I read every book in a vacuum. Doesn't matter if it's part of a series or not. I read it in a vacuum. It's one of the reasons I hate short story books, because it feels like it's meant to be one book, but they're not connected. I'm not so bad with omnibuses because my brain is well aware they're different books. And they tend to fit in with a theme as well. Anyway. But it would be good. Like that's what I'm saying. It would be good for a lot of new people, a lot of new fans who want to get into the lore and want to read the lore. But they see that, like, let's take Horus Heresy, for example. It has 60 novels. Like, I really want to get into the Horus Heresy lore. Oh, by the way, there's 60 books. Like, no one. I don't want to do that. It feels to like a too high a mountain to climb. So they are detracted just by the amount of books there are. Again, a reboot would take this back to page 1, and they could get back in from the start rather than at the end. And like if you get into the Scouring now, which is after the Siege of Terror, I can see lots of people who want to get into the series go like, wait, what am I missing? I'm missing 60 books plus Siege of Terror. What am I missing? Am I going to have to read all these 60 books just to get what's going on here? Which was one of the faults of a lot of later books of Horus Heresy. They tried to tie in older books, and it could be a lot very very confusing, and the only other option was to watch, law channels, and there was a lot of them as well, and not all of them are honest. They tend to make things up and add things as they go. And of course, there's a lot of the character changes and the contradictions that go on in these series, like Perturabo. If you read his Primarch book, it's absolutely fantastic. You go from saying, actually, he's not a bad guy, to, I just hate him, which is good. That is a good thing. If an author can make you to generally hate a character, that's a good thing. So again, it can be really hard for someone new to get into a series that has 60, like I said, I'm just talking about Horse House here, that has 60 novels, plus the Siege of Terror, and then they see the scouring and going, wait, do I have to read everything else first? And it can be, like I said, it can be very daunting for them. The same with 40k. There's lots of books for 40k. If I look at my shelf right now, I got about 70 books, just 40k, and about 20 for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. So, a reboot would be good. It would help people get in from the start. It would help people. It would feel a lot easier for a lot of newcomers to get into the series and enjoy the series from the start, rather than having, like I said, having to wade through a lot. However, there is a but to this, and I have to talk about this because this is the elephant in the room. Where I said a lot of remakes and reboots were good back in the 90s, the 80s, and early 2000s, lately they've been atrocious. They've been just horrible. Just not right. And with what I see personally, such as Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, even though I'm not a big fan of Lord of the Rings, I see the same thing happening there. There's something missing to it. Now, I always say that when something's made with love, you can see it. It's something that's been crafted, and the person who crafted it really put that heart into it. With these modern reboots, however, because it feels they are done for no reason other than financial, that act of love, that act of, the creator actually putting themselves into it, seems to be missing. And I think that's a shame. Like, we've had the Dragon Ball Z reboot of GT. That's pretty good. A lot of people enjoying that. You had, like, the Gundam Resurgence, I think it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but I've been watching it, the CGI one, and I've been enjoying that. But again, when you see these things that are made because the creator really enjoys it, and when they reboot it, it maintains the creator's, joy and love for their product. It remains in there, and you can see it. Even if it's not great, it's still fun and enjoyable because you can see the passion put into it. However, a lot of reboots that we do see do not have that. They are missing it a lot. And then you can get something that's technically good, objectively good. The acting's good, the story's good, it all fits. The CGI is good. It's all good. But because there's no heart in it, there's no love put into it, it's done just for the chase, for the pursuit of money, it feels bland, repetitive, and boring. And the bits that, it's the faults that make people love what they love. It's one of the most contradictory things in the world. We love things because they have faults. We don't love things because they're perfect, because perfection just feels fake. Something that has faults feels good. It feels fine. It feels brilliant. And that's why we like the things like the Star Wars films, and why people like Star Trek from the start, because it had these faults in it. They weren't made to be perfect. They were made because they were a joy to make. And they were also a joy to watch if you like those certain things. And so when money gets involved, the soul gets removed, and that's when reboots fail. They want to chase money rather than, enjoyment. Which is ironic, really, because people who enjoy it are going to go there, spend money, and if it's just chasing the money that the people are bringing, it's going to dwindle and die. That's just the way it is. Take a look at Halo 1, 2, and 3. Reach, absolutely fantastic. They start chasing money with 4. then 5, then infinite, then blah, then blah, and then blah. Do you see what I mean? And that's the thing. I've just made my point now. I can't really continue on because we're repeating myself. Basic premise: reboots are alright. They're not bad when they're made with love and enjoyment from the creators and they're actually doing something good that they enjoy. You're going to have a good reboot. If 40k follows that route, rebooting to get new fans in who are already interested in the lore as is, but are too daunted by the amount of books and novels and stories that are there, this would be a good thing. If they're going to reboot because they no longer have that imagination and they're just chasing money and trying to reach the wider audience, said, look, we rebooted our unit. Because reboots always bring in a lot of money. They always do. There's never been a reboot first issue that flopped. Even the DCNU reboot sales were absolutely phenomenal. Okay? And like, that's not anything anyone can deny. Then it's going to suck because they are losing and deciding to discard what was vitally the most important part of it. As I said, Die Hard is technically a sequel, but because you can see the heart and love put into Die Hard, Die Harder and Die Hard with a Vengeance, it's fantastic. I got the box set with all the Indiana Jones films in it. You know, Temples of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade. Yeah, that's all of them, by the way. I will not say the others are part of that series. Because they don't feel the same. Like I said, when they're made with love, you can see it and it's enjoyable and it's fun. Even if it's bad, it's enjoyable because you can see it, that it was made with love. Whereas it could be good technically and objectively good, but if it doesn't have that part in it, it's going to be bland, beige, boring, dull, and that's it. So reboots can be good if they follow that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all again in the next one. Have a lovely, lovely day, as always, because I hope you do have good days. Everyone deserves a good day. And then, there you go. Have a great day. Of course, as always, there is Whaling Games down below if you wish to save money on Warhammer and War gaming in general. Absolutely brilliant. Up to 20% off, free delivery after 20 pounds. I do use them myself. I do order them from them quite a bit. Mind you, it's like the only place you can get Wild West Exodus. So that's why I use them. There is also Forbidden Planet for comics, DVDs, mangas. There is also Skyforge, a good friend of mine. Give that guy a click. Get him up the Google algorithm. I do not get paid anything from him. He's a friend of mine and I want to support him as much as I can. There is also my merchandise, comics, stickers, blah, blah. You know, what everyone else does. I got that down below as well. And finally, Patreon because business. Bye-bye.